If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. So anybody that was watching my videos last January, this is July, knows that I was researching coming to the North Rim area of the Grand Canyon in Arizona back then. I had a lot of concerns about coming out here. For the most part, my concerns were completely justifiable. I was really concerned about internet and water and the mileage to go get resources. And a lot of folks told me, oh, don't worry about it. Just go out there. You'll figure it out when you get out there. And the honest truth is actually, no, we didn't figure it out. We didn't figure it out any better than what the research indicated. What's interesting is, there was 2 campsites here that we were definitely interested in, dispersed camping areas that we identified through freecampsites.net. And it's my number one go-to webpage when it comes to finding free campsites. And the beauty is just everything that the reviewers indicated. It's just amazing here. But I'm really glad I did the research because we are so well prepared for the challenges of extreme boondocking, meaning dispersed camping without electric, water, nearby resources. So, research and having a solid plan. When we came out here, I told Carolyn, we really need to make sure that we have everything that we need to survive a month out here without having to go to the grocery store. And we have been able to do it. We've been out here 2 weeks and we keep checking our supplies to make sure that we're going to be able to make it. And yeah, we're going to be able to make it quite easily. The only thing that we ever run into trouble with is water. And we knew we were going to have problems with water. And it's the one thing on my research that I really failed at, trying to find water. I thought I'd be able to go to one of the 2 day use areas in the area and pay the $9 and go get water. Well, I found out when I got here that's not true. Now, the only way to go get water is if you travel 120 miles from this location to go to a town to find a city park, or you can buy it at Walmart, or whatever the case is. I know that being out east, people seem to think that water is so easy to get, but when you start talking to people around here, you really begin to realize there is no water to be found. They have to haul it up here, and it's a scarce commodity. Somebody said, yeah, I used to live out in Arizona, and he said that he has seen families go to war over water. And then you need to start researching for the stay limits. The stay limits are always so goofy. They talk about 14 days. And I've talked about this before in my videos. But, what does that mean? 14 days at a campground at a specific spot? Because, you hear people on YouTube talk all the time. Well, if you just go to the BLM, you can stay at the BLM in one spot for 14 days. And then you just move 25 miles down the road and you can stay at another spot on the BLM for 14 days. And I've heard other people say, well, if you go to this national forest or that national forest, all you got to do is stay 14 days and then move 100 yards and stay at another 14 days. Or you go out east and then they say, well, you can stay in the national forest for 14 days. The problem with this is sometimes, a lot of times, it's not clear. Can you stay 14 days in the national forest, or you can stay in 14 days at a particular dispersed camping area and then go to the other one? There is just no consistent ruling. And it brings me back to the water. When I was reading about the day use area, when you go to South Dakota, you can go to the day use area and you can buy your day use pass for $5, fill up your water, and off you go. Now, you can't fill up your tanks because there's no adapter, but you can fill up your buckets. And it even says it right on the sign, fill up your water buckets. And so, we filled up our 8 buckets and we felt like we were well within the criteria of the rules. So when I read here that they had a day use area with water, I just assumed the same thing, which is a terrible mistake. Never ever assume that one place is going to be like the other. But when you thoroughly read the rules, it says for daily use. So if you can use 40 gallons in one day, then yeah, you can have 40 gallons, but you can't take 40 gallons and put it in the back of your truck and come up here to disperse camp. The campsite host was very clear that you just can't do this. Another thing you want to research is, can you have campfires? We've been here 2 weeks, and we just now figured out if we could have a campfire or not. We see fire rings all over the place. These primitive fire rings, you know, they make out of rocks. And so we haven't built any campfires. Well, today I saw smoke over here on the edge, and I thought, man, maybe I should call this in. So I called into the National Forest, and they have this recording that tells you if there's prescribed burns or if there's fires. And sure enough, they knew about this fire, so I didn't have to, you know, report it. But in it, it says the fire risk in this area is extreme, the highest extreme, whatever that was, I forget. But you could still burn while you're here. So the rules here actually change from day to day. One day you may be able to burn, the next day you may not be able to. But in South Dakota, here's what's interesting. At the Black Hills National Forest, Black Hills National Forest spans 2 states, South Dakota and Wyoming. In South Dakota, you're not allowed to burn campfires. But in Wyoming, you can. So the same national forest has 2 different rules based on the state that you're in. So you really, again, got to pay attention to the rules. Temperature, this is a big deal. Here's the thing, is a lot of people kept saying, you need to go now. You need to go now while it's still cool because you're going to go out to Arizona. So Arizona, you know, the thought process is when you go to Arizona, it is going to be blazing hot, so you better go early. They were telling me to go back in April and May when, you know, the springtime was just starting to hit, so I didn't get too hot. But if you don't do your research, you may not know that this north rim doesn't even open until April. In some cases, they don't even open up the national forest because the road is closed because of snow. In April, the temperatures can get way down into freezing, and the highs can still be in the freezing. So I'm still having discussions in the comment section about temperature here. People say, why are you in Arizona in July? You got to be baking. Well, no, because like, you know, people have been telling me it's 100 degrees in Missouri right now, which is north of where we're at. But it's a very nice, I have my sweatshirt on right now, 70 degrees. It's chilly, and with the wind blowing, it can get quite cool quite quickly. At nighttime, it gets really cold sometimes. I just reported in an earlier video that it got down to 36 degrees. So researching even your temperature is important. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.